All right. What is your name and then your position in leadership here?
My name is Neil Ayers, and I am the technical coordinator at Trinity Church.
All right. What would you say is a good definition of leadership?
Leadership is primarily influence to me, and it's the ability also to take a group of people and take them somewhere, usually underneath a vision that's either a guy can vision to you or a vision from somebody else that you're serving.
All right. When you first stepped into your leadership position, what were some of the things that you had to learn as a leader?
Everybody responds differently to different kinds of input and stimulus. Not here, but I was the media director for a lady named Cindy Jacobs at Journals International, and when I first took that role on, one of the biggest things was just how different people would react. So something you could say very direct to somebody else, when you'd say that very directly to another person, it would just crush them, and they didn't respond to it well, or another person would get really defensive. And so you have to always, for me, if you're not communicating well, if you're not finding the ways that people receive information, then you're not a good leader. And a lot of leaders just kind of impose their version of things on people, which you can get away with if you're at certain positions, but I really don't think that's good leadership. I think knowing how people react to things, knowing how people respond, what they like, what they don't like, how they can receive information from you, receive correction from you, receive direction from you is very important. So that's kind of a big one for me.
Okay, so would you say that you are more the type of leader that would work with someone rather than more of a step back and tell someone what to do?
Yeah, I don't think it's pretty natural for me to try to work with someone and helping them get where they need to go. And, the only downside is that if I'm in a pressure situation, sometimes I will just kind of push people out of the way because I have to make something happen at that moment. Here at the church, for instance, if I haven't gotten them to the right place by that Sunday morning and then we're in the middle of some kind of crisis, I don't have time to try to guide them through that. I have to get the job done. So sometimes there's one guy in particular that I'm thinking of that I have to kind of push out of the way every once in a while to get the job done because the rest of the church is kind of dependent on that. But in general, I'm always teaching, I'm always explaining, I'm always trying to help everybody understand everything as much as I possibly can.
Awesome. What would you say some of your strengths are as a leader?
I like people, and I like interacting with them, and I think that I'm pretty quick study of who they are, and not just the surface things, but who people are, deeper than that, and trying to deal with their real motivations, who they really are, and try to help them get out of life, even in the moment that we have together. Try to help them really become who they want to be and who God wants them to be.
Yeah. What would you say some of your weaknesses are as a leader?
I'm really bad with time. Super bad with time. I've had to program myself to, if I'm going to get somewhere, for instance, I can only be early. I can't ever be on time. Because on time will mean I am there 15 to 30 minutes late. So I have to be early. Somehow early works, but on time never works for me. Being super organized with time-based things and stuff has just been a deliberate thing I've had to learn, and calendars and things like that, just making that consistent. And if I don't do something immediately when it comes to those things, it's gone. Like if somebody tells me, hey, we're going to meet next week and blah, 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 and if I don't put that in my calendar, it doesn't exist anymore because I'll move on to whatever the next thing is. I kind of context shift really fast, so which is a strength in that I can be 100% in whatever moment I'm in, but that means that any other moment that I needed to still have is gone if it doesn't get put in some kind of digital system of some kind. So, yeah.
Okay. And then last question, how would you cast vision to somebody that is under you?
I think it kind of goes back to figuring out some of it's appealing to who they are and to what their dreams and things are. trying to bring those along into the dream that you're trying to cast for them is a big factor. Also, I mean, a lot of people can just be very inspirational. The guy who's preaching out there right now, I mean, he's just very inspirational, and people will line up underneath that, at least for a time. But you have to also show progress and consistency. So even if you're casting the vision, people may buy into it for a period of time, but if you don't show that you're actually making progress or that you're not faithful with that, then they're going to fall out of that. So I think consistency is a big thing too. It kind of, honestly, there's differences in the way the generations respond to those kinds of things. A lot more relationship is involved in this age bracket that y'all are in, than some of the older generations, and they just respond like to authority structures and positions. And so if they've lined up on the authority, whatever the vision the authority casts, they're going to line up underneath. It's kind of much more army war sort of mentality. And that's one of the things I've noticed here in this position is the people that have spent any time with me are much more committed to the people that, even though it's brand new for them and it should be exciting, half the time the new people are almost impossible to keep around until they have some kind of relationship with you. Don't mean jack for y'all. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, what is your name and what is your position of leadership here?
My name is Tiffany Garka, and I am a Kia admin during the week, and on Wednesdays I'm a boys leader.
All right. What, in your opinion, would you define leadership as?
Leadership has several different areas. Leadership is a good listener. Leadership knows how to command a room without having to command the room. It's just being able to know when you have to step up to fill any gaps, fill any voids. Maybe you, as a leader, you kind of pick up on somebody else's weakness and use their strengths to use those advantages.
What are some of your strengths as a leader?
My strengths as a leader? Learning to delegate. That's being able to delegate to say, okay, this person take this or this person take that, and being able to delegate different responsibilities to where I'm not having to worry whether they're getting done and if they're getting done.
What are some of your weaknesses that you've had to overcome, or things that you have to delegate because maybe it's not a strength?
It's asking for the help when I don't have enough help. It's learning to say, okay, well, teach me how to do this or teach me how to do that, where somebody else knows it better than I do, and I've had to humble myself to ask for the help.
Are there things that you do in the workplace to maximize your strengths?
Constantly learning, whether it's a new device or whether it's a new program or whether it's new anything that's new that's out there that's being able to reach the younger generation, because of course my generation didn't have the internet, didn't have the smartphone, didn't have any of that. So it's just constant change in technology that we're having to learn.
And then how would you cast vision or motivate those who are under you?
Keep those ideas and keep those passions that they have, to cultivate them, to learn more, to keep their minds open also to what other groups are doing that maybe we could utilize on, but within every organization they kind of know what their goal is and what their strength is, so they've got to make sure that they keep that into perspective as well.
Yeah. Those are some great answers. Thank you very much.
No problem.
What is your name and position of leadership?
My name's Larry Click, and I own an auto damage appraisal service, Click Appraisal Service.
Awesome. What would you say is your, or how would you define leadership?
Leadership is the ability to work with people and encourage them and motivate them to reach whatever goals you've set for the business.
Okay. When you first started business, what were some things that you might have had to learn as a leader?
First of all, that I was not, in fact, my own boss. I found out when you become a leader, everybody that you work with ultimately is your boss, one way or the other. The other thing is that I needed those people that worked for me, probably more than they needed me.
Okay. What would you say some of your strengths are as a leader?
I'm what I'd call a type A personality. I'm not afraid to do anything, and I generally have an ability to meet people and engage people on a friendly basis and kind of disarm them if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. And then if you wouldn't mind, what are some of your weaknesses or things that are harder for you in leadership?
I'm very stubborn. I want things to go my way. And I take disappointment and failure very personally. And that's not always a good thing.
And then how would you motivate or cast vision to somebody that's under you?
By getting them to buy in to the vision, and you do that mostly by doing your groundwork and helping them help you to set goals and to create that vision, and that's probably the hardest thing to do.
All right, thank you very much.